So what are we learning about your San Antonio Spurs?
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Happy Monday. Welcome back to Locked On Spurs. We're in the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Kansas 5 San Antonio. I'm hoping you had a great weekend, and I'm glad that you're back right here on Locked On Spurs, making it your number one spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. Seriously, keep it up. And by the way, just a quick note. Did you know this about the Locked On Network? It is now the number one sports podcast network. Yes. So I should be saying like, hey, welcome to Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Now the number one sports podcast network. So congratulations to the network. I'm glad that happened. Hey, don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts, iTunes, Spotify, Kansas 5 Plus app, YouTube. Subscribe ASAP, become an everydayer. If you are an everydayer, keep on doing that. And what are we talking about today? We're going to be looking at what are we learning about this Spurs team? We get it. It's still a young season. I mean, not even 2 months, month and a half in. But are we learning something about this team, something we like, something we don't like? We're going to get to that. And then we're going to finally get around to it and make you all part of the show. Later in the show, we're going to be discussing some Locked On Spurs fan comments. And since the season has started, you guys are leaving a bunch of comments. We'll pick a few of them. Just a few minutes. Let's go ahead and bring in our guest. But by the way, everybody, it is Monday, right? So y'all know what that means, right? Matt Guzman, Mondays with Matt. Yeah, he is back. This time via audio. Matt, welcome to Locked On Spurs.
Doing well. Thanks for having me, as always. Great to be back on another Monday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, would it be a Monday without Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated? He's on next at Matt GZ, man. Spurs on SI, as you see on your screen there. This time he's acting like he's like the being from above, talking down to us from a different dimension. Audio only today, Matt, but we're glad you're back, nevertheless. By the way, did I see this correctly? Were you in Los Angeles?
That's right. I had a very impromptu trip out to Hollywood, paid for.
Really?
It was part of a separate media event that just so happened to coincide with the road game. So I was able to peek in, and it was a great experience.
You know, I saw it on social media. I just assumed that maybe you were using some NBA media that were out there. I said, okay, he's probably doing that. And then I think it was something else popped up at the time. I go, wait a minute, it's Matt there? So I'm glad you got to experience that in Los Angeles on the road with the Spurs. So that's always a fun thing to do. Hey, Matt, by the way, everybody, we should let everybody know we're talking about this topic or these topics ahead of this past weekend's game, Houston and New Orleans. So keep that in mind as we move forward. So with that being said, Matt, let's go and dive into it. So the Spurs, they have a few games under the belt, not a lot, but a few. And we're starting to learn things about this team. And I'll kick us off here. A couple things that I'm learning about San Antonio is, although I do believe they're out of the rebuild, that phase is over. But I think they're starting like the new phase right now, which is becoming familiar with each other, trying to get everybody back healthy. And I think we're learning that this team still may need a little bit more time together before we start thinking about deep playoff runs. You know, a solid guaranteed 1 through 6 playoff spot. I likely that'll happen. But as of now, could this team be a play-in? The way, the last 2 games earlier this last week where they lost 2. So I still feel what I'm learning is this team still needs some cooking. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I think it stands that injuries are one of the biggest inhibitors of progress. Mm-hmm. When you look at a team trying to build up the way the Spurs have been for the past few years. And so, obviously that 5-0 start was huge. Dylan Harper looked great. And, even without De'Aaron Fox, they looked pretty cohesive. But then you lose Dylan Harper. You still are without Jeremy. You're still without Kelly and Luke. Mm-hmm. And, I think it definitely took a toll. You could see that, and so the hope is that they can get some of those guys healthy, over these next couple of games. And then they can begin, to get back to what they were doing the first few games of the season and honestly better, once they have everyone back healthy.
Yeah. One thing I did like is when Sochan did come back on the court, he looked like he was almost picking up where he left off, just doing a little bit of everything, even getting under the skin of Luka Doncic versus Los Angeles. You were there, you saw it. But so that's what I'm learning. I think this team, we just collectively, the Spurs fan base may need to pump the brakes just a little bit. Not saying slam on the brakes, just kind of tap on the brakes and be, okay, you know what? Let's just hold on here. 5-0 start was good, but let's not pop champagne corks right now because it's still a long season. It's still so many games ahead. And I think this team will only get better as soon as the injury bug leaves this roster. Another thing I'm learning about the Spurs so far this season, Matt, to get your thoughts on this as well, is just how crucial it is that the depth be there. We're seeing the depth of guard take a hit with Fox as of this recording and Harper being out. Okay, we're seeing how much depth hurts right now because Victor, once he sits, teams are attacking the paint. Kornet's been out. Olynyk came back for one game, the Los Angeles game, but then, didn't really do much, out again. So the lack of depth so far is really impacting this team. I think even the depth, the depth chart on the Spurs-Suns game, the loss there, the Phoenix bench outscored the Spurs bench. So I think the need for everybody to come back healthy, especially for Victor, because he went through a recent struggle. You got to wonder if that's just more because he's playing more because he doesn't have adequate backup right now with Kornet and Olynyk. What do you think? The depth has really been taking a hit so far.
Sure. And you're right. I mean, it definitely has.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when you look at those two losses at Phoenix and at LA, there was a kind of case of two different things. The Phoenix and the Spurs never felt quite in control. And I think they kind of made up for that on the road in Los Angeles because everybody scored. You had 7 guys in double figures, right? It wasn't enough. And I think you chalked that up to, missing Luke and missing Dylan and missing, De'Aaron Fox. And so it's one of those things where they're definitely still figuring it out. But, Stephon Castle looks like he's struggling a little bit with turnovers as the lead guard.
Right.
And Kelly Olynyk, like you mentioned, was struggling a little bit. He was fine offensively, and that's what they brought him in for, but they didn't bring him in to get rebounds and be a Luke Kornet replacement. Right. So they definitely were hurting there, and I think that's a big thing that they're learning is they need these guys to be healthy so they can really get to their full potential.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing that I'm learning is, and I think this is something that maybe is not, wild to think about, but again, you're just seeing it magnified right now during the last 2 games where they dropped a pair. Was, Victor can't do it all by himself. He cannot. He needs help. And you even look at his struggles. He was shooting the ball poorly in that 2-game skid. He was turning the ball over. I mean, believe it or not, Matt, his 3-point attempts went up. They doubled. They went up to 4 during his recent struggles. So you see, maybe he's just being a victim and he's taking that punishment. We're seeing a lot of teams throw hard double teams at him, and maybe it's wearing on him. And he even said after the game, I think it was in Los Angeles, that when he was surprised, he's been a little surprised how quick the defenses are adapting to him. And I believe he said it in French during the French segment that, he had a little tiredness, a little sluggishness in him as well. And remember, he hasn't been playing that much organized basketball until this start of this season. So, maybe he needs a little bit of a breather right now. The point is this: you need all hands on deck. You need to have Fox back. You need to have Castle maybe going to his natural position, more natural at the 2 spot. You need to have the Sochans, Kornets coming in doing the dirty work. So Victor cannot do it all. I'm learning that this team, although on paper is very solid, but they still need some individual improvement. You mentioned one of them too, Steph Castle, turning the ball over a lot. And that's something he's been struggling with as well. Matt, before we take a break and get into your thoughts, what are you learning about this team? As of this recording being 5-2, are you worried? Were you worried during their 2-game losing skid about, hey, this team may not be ready yet?
I don't think worried about their status is the right word I would use to describe the way I feel. I think it was clear that they took a back seat. They kind of took a step back, and obviously Victor's struggles were it kind of underscored that entire everything that's happening is kind of, the Spurs go as Victor goes, and that's what I was going to get into here in a second. But I wouldn't say I'm too worried about their overall status. I just think that they have growing pains still. That I think that's the thing that I think a lot of fans, especially after the 5-0 start, were kind of eye on the moon, a little delirious, or all of a sudden they lose 2 and then it's the end of the world. It's not, but it's proof that this team is not the perfect. They weren't going to go 82-0. That was never going to happen.
Yeah, I think it was during the Locked On Spurs roundtable show where it was me and Devin Brown. We were very vocal, like, hey, this team may need to face a little bit of adversity, just for them to grow. Not because we would love them to win 82 games, but that's not reasonable. What is reasonable is learning lessons. And I think they learned a lot. Even Steph Castle. See, that's the thing, Matt. They came at me, fans came at me for saying, like, I want to see this team have a little adversity. Steph Castle even said it himself. He said this team was getting comfortable. And he even said, I want to see how this team responds after a loss. So it's not just me, it's the players as well. All right. So those are some things I'm learning about your San Antonio Spurs early this season. What about Matt? Let's talk about that. Got my next right here on Matt on Locked On Spurs with Mondays with Matt here on Locked On Spurs. Hey, let's talk about Robinhood. Your ambition just met its match. With Robinhood, you play for the win, not just on game day, every day, locking in on every opening, betting your PR, betting again. Channel that drive into your money. Robinhood puts you in control of your money. Trade stocks and ETFs, options, futures, and crypto all on one platform. You now can build and execute your own trade from a desktop with Robinhood Legends advanced tools, or take advantage of the new Robinhood strategies with a tailored portfolio managed by a team of experts. You expect more from yourself, expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Again, that's Robinhood.com/yourmoney. Your money, your move.
Yeah, let's talk about game time. Basketball season is officially here. Nothing beats being in the arena for those opening games. But let's be real. Getting tickets can be a total headache. Between waiting in queues, surprise fees, prices that jump right out before checkout. Hey, it's easy to get frustrated when it's all you want to do is just cheer on your team. That's where Game Time comes in. The app gives fans the advantage. It's your ultimate life hack for scoring amazing NBA tickets, fast, easy, and free. You can use the Game Time app to grab seats for your San Antonio Spurs. It'll be simple. You can get the great seats in minutes. You'll love what you see because there are no hidden fees at checkout. You can even look exactly at your view before you even buy the tickets with their in-app seat view feature. Their zone deals are a game changer. You pick the section, Game Time picks your seats, and you say big. You can even find NBA tickets for under $25. Take the guesswork out of buying NBA tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. That's code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman of Spurs on Sports Illustrated. It's Mondays with Matt, and we'd love to have him on to start off the week here at Locked On Spurs. All right, Matt, so I gave a few things that I'm observing, what I'm learning from this team. Start off your thoughts. What have you been learning about the Silver and Black?
Yeah, well, I'm going to save the Victor one for second since we just talked about that a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I think my other one, something that I definitely have been learning is just how crucial Luke Kornet is going to be to this team, and I think a lot of, there's a lot of talk about him in the offseason. I think everyone was excited to have a competent center behind Victor who seemed to fit all the roles of a traditional center on paper. And he comes out and he looks great. He can get rebounds. He can be in the pick and roll. He can catch the lob. He can defend at the rim as well. And I think that all of those things, the Spurs have been needing that for quite a while. And, it worked well. When Dylan Harper was healthy and Luke Kornet was healthy, they went on a 5-0 run. And, all of a sudden both of those guys are out and the Spurs kind of take a back seat. And so, I think the interesting stat for me was they actually out-rebounded the Lakers on the road, but it never felt like they were dominant at the rim. It never felt like they could finish at the rim. And they certainly couldn't defend near the rim, without Victor. And so I think that that's something that I've learned is that he's going to be a big piece of their success, and not because he's a superstar, because he does all the right things and the little things that they've been needing and missing to allow Victor and the other stars to show out.
Yeah, exactly. I got a little some stats here for you, Matt. So with Kornet on the court, now he's only played 50 minutes though since he got hurt. As of this recording again, everybody, we're making it clear. As of this recording, 50 minutes on the floor. Get this, Matt. The Spurs offensive rating is 115.2, and the defensive rating is 101.9. It's a minus 13 that he's bringing as far as defense is concerned. Good for a net rating of 13.3. He tends to still keep that ship humming coming in for Victor. He may not be Victor, then again, who is, but he keeps things going offensively and defensively. That's how much they miss him. And hopefully he is back. I hope he's back by the time you're listening to this show. I guess to New Orleans, at least. It'll be good to have. Hey, Matt, what else are you learning about this team?
I think, touching on the Victor stuff again, I think what I've really learned specifically is that the team is going to go as Victor goes, which I think I mentioned a second ago. And that's kind of always been the case, but to a certain extent, it's been exaggerated. That first year Victor was doing great. I mean, he had a good, impressive rookie season, but he wasn't grounded at all. He never really understood where he needs to be and at what times. He was still figuring it out. And you saw what happened at 22 win season. Second year, obviously he gets hurt in the Spurs. Any hopes that they had of making a postseason run kind of dashed halfway through. And then so far this season, he looked really, really great. And in the games that he goes off and finds the rim and dunks and catches lobs and throws it over his head behind the back, like the Spurs have found success. And when it struggles, they've had a much harder time getting past teams that I would argue, especially the Lakers, I would argue that the Spurs are more complete when they're healthy than the Lakers were.
Oh, yeah, they are.
And so if Victor continues to have his struggles, the Spurs are going to continue to struggle. And I think that's why it's so important for him to keep learning these defensive schemes that they're going to be throwing at him. He's going to face a different one every night.
Yeah.
So if he continues to get that education and find ways to go around these schemes and find his spots, then the Spurs are going to be in a much better spot.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I think De'Aaron Fox will cure a lot of what ails the Spurs of late. I think he will. May not be like the magic potion, but my goodness, Fox, when he gets back, it's going to cure the defensive struggles. I'm sorry, the offensive struggles that we've seen in the last few games, as well as just providing a steady hand at point guard. No knock on McLaughlin or Steph Castle, but there's De'Aaron Fox, and that's a primary threat. And we're seeing Wemby struggle. Why not have your secondary threat, which is Fox, be on the court? But Matt, what else are you learning about this silver and black team?
I think something else that I've learned, especially these last couple of games, is that the team itself, they've kind of stayed grounded themselves. I don't think those two losses are what they are, and I think obviously the reactions online are going to be a lot more drawn out and a lot more embellished, I should say. But every time that we've talked to Mitch or to Victor or to Steph, I even asked Steph directly about, are you expecting to have more turnovers since you're going to be having the ball in your hands more? He was like, well, I mean, it's part of it, but I have to learn to balance that, but Mitch said that we're not worried about Victor. We'll be better. Victor said we're going to be better. He's not worried about Steph. And so I think this, everybody's got their backs. Everyone's going to be showing up for their teammates. Nobody's losing their cool. Nobody's panicking. And so I think that's what I've learned is that this team, 3 years ago was the youngest in the NBA. Hasn't gotten a crazy amount older. They've added more veterans, but they're still relatively young, but they're very controlled. And I think that everyone is the locker room is even keeled, and I think that's going to be big for them when they are facing losses like they just have.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why I'm with you. I'm not panicking when they lost those two games at all. Look, even the Thunder lost. No, they even they're not invincible. So, and believe it or not, everybody, even the Thunder, even the Spurs are probably going to get some more losses on the season, which you can't panic. And I'm pretty sure the team and Mitch Johnson has this team under control, keeping everything in focus. That's one thing I love about Mitch Johnson. You ever notice this, Matt? Win or lose, he's like the same guy on the podium or on the table, I guess, after games. Like if they win, he's just the same. He's just even keel. What do you think?
Absolutely. And I feel like he even talks more. He's almost happier when they lose.
Yeah.
And so, he definitely, he has good things to say, and I don't think he's rocked by the moment.
Yeah, no, not at all. But again, Mitch Johnson, if I go circle back to my segment here, what I'm learning about Mitch is, I'm learning to wait and see how he develops as a coach and how he does some adjustments. The biggest adjustment right now we're seeing is just how teams are swarming Victor. I mean, he is just getting mauled even before he gets the ball. I mean, it's crazy. And I'm loving to learn. I'm anticipating to learn. I'm anxious to learn how Mitch is going to do those adjustments, because, you know, the cool thing about Mitch is not only is his cool demeanor, but he has a guy in the front office named Popovich. I don't know if you ever heard of him, everybody, but I'm pretty sure he can go and pick his brain about what's going on, and maybe Pop can help him out. And but yeah, I think I'm anticipating that. I want to see Mitch's learning process, Mitch's decisions to make plays. I thought the play he drew up for a possible tie against the Lakers, an alley-oop-ish pass to Champagnie was brilliant, because I was not expecting Champagnie at all. You know, and you know, I thought that was cool. That was nice. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't work out, but it was a nice little kind of a sneaky play there. So I appreciated that from Mitch. But there you have it, everybody. A few things that we're learning about your silver and black in this early season. What do y'all think? What are some things you're learning about? Let us know on X at MattGZMN. Let me know on X at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, it's your turn. Locked On Spurs fan comments coming right up.
The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get into the action than with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of a game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into the same game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps everything exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Hey, Spurs season is underway. Might as well jump on the action over at FanDuel. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first 5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com. Sign up right now. Play your game at FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
We're back right here on Locked On Spurs, joined by Matt Guzman. It's Monday, so that means Matt's going to be joining us on right here on Locked On Spurs. And it's time for you guys, Locked On Spurs fans, and your comments over at the YouTube page. And let's dive in. During the break, Matt and I were trying to figure out which was the pick. Matt even mentioned, he was like, oh, there's probably a lot on Fox. I'm like, no, there's a lot more on Wemby. And I think rightfully so, Matt, because he is a star player. And as of this recording, he has been recently seeing some struggles on the court. So, yeah, I can understand Spurs fans' concern. All right, here we go. This first one is from Kevin Smith, 4239. He says the Spurs, need to get Wemby closer to the basket, then get him to the ball. What do you think about that, Matt? You think it's as simple as that? Is it just simply, hey, Wemby, post up closer and we'll get you the ball? What do you think?
You know, it's one of those things where it seems like it would be easy to implement something like that. The quote that I remember that really stuck with me was Victor speaking after the loss to the Suns. Mm-hmm. They asked him about, these defense and then the ways he's being guarded and the kinds of, I guess, physicality he's facing. They were like, are they being physical with you? And he actually said, no, they're not. He said it's not the physicality that he's seeing. It's that teams are letting him catch the ball so that they can double him afterward. And he said that was something he was expecting. The doubling was throwing him off a little bit. And so, it's easy to say, let's get Victor close to the rim and then just give it to him, he's going to score. But I think teams are starting to let him get to his spots and then making it difficult for him to do anything with the ball. And that's something that he's, for whatever reason, is throwing him off, and so it could be just getting him closer to the basket, just trying him more times, more volume. But at the same time, teams are expecting that. And so they can begin to plan against.
Yeah, you can see the double teams starting even when the ball's in the air going to Victor. That's how quick the double teams are hitting him. And I'm glad he's confident. I'm glad the team is confident saying they're going to adjust, and I believe they will. And I just also think as much as the Spurs need some learnings under their belt, I think Victor still needs some learning under his belt too. Think about it. Matt, shortened season last year because of the blood clot. Rookie season was shelved early. And now he's getting his potentially first full season. So, yeah, he's still kind of learning. He hasn't really played a full season of ball yet. So, and for him to get used to schemes like we're seeing of late, the double teams or whatnot. So I think he'll be all right. Just Got to give him time. You can't build this overnight, everybody. All right, next comment comes from, I had it here. Okay, here it is. No shocker about De'Aaron Fox. This is from Isaac the Third. He says, really didn't feel the loss of Fox until the Lakers game. Thank you for that comment there, Isaac. I'll do you one better, Isaac. I've been seeing the team's loss or playing without Fox and how much it's important. This is pretty much game one of this season. And yes, I understand 5-0 start. But Matt, we saw them hit offensive droughts versus Brooklyn, and Brooklyn almost beat San Antonio in San Antonio. We saw offensive droughts versus Toronto, where they erased a double-figure lead. We saw what happened in Phoenix. They could not buy a bucket while Phoenix was hitting everything. But even if they wanted to match Phoenix's offense, they could have had a guy by the name of Fox on that court. And, of course, Wemby struggling, then you go to your co-star, Fox. So you're right, Isaac. Fox was really needed against that Lakers team because I think he would have won in the clutch. He won the clutch award before. But I think this team has been needing Fox since game one. What do you think?
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think that's been, obviously they've known that they're going to be without De'Aaron to start the season. So they've been able to say, okay, here's how we're going to do things instead. And with Dylan playing as well as he was playing, that was an easy fix. And that's why they were finding success. And even though they had those droughts, they would pull away and come up with a win. But, definitely that Lakers game, it was pretty clear. Had they had any of the three of De'Aaron, Dylan, or Luke, I think that game goes in favor of the Spurs. So I understand where the comment's coming from, but to your point, Jeff, yes, like De'Aaron Fox has definitely been a missing piece. As obvious as that may sound, it's really been affecting the team, and I think it's going to be a whole new look on offense, especially when he comes back.
Yeah, exactly. And not just with Fox coming back, with Harper coming back. I'm just drooling at the thought of this team near 100% roster. Just get me close to that. I want to see this 3-guard lineup on that floor. I want to see how Mitch is going to work that. I want to literally see them on the court at the same time because I believe it will work. So yeah, this team cannot get any healthier any sooner. And I'm pretty sure all Spurs fans are just chomping at the bit to see this team at full strength. All right, let's pull up another comment here. I got it. Just give me 2 seconds, everybody. I had it here. There's so many. I got to fish through them. Here is one. Here we go. This is from Andy Black 5436. He says, quote, without a backup big, i.e. Luke and Harper or Fox, it will not work. He's talking about the Spurs system. It's back to the same problem again. Matt, I'll let you take this one. This is pretty much where the Spurs are at right now, isn't it? They got hit with the injury bug. And how do you expect it to work if some of their pieces are missing? What do you think?
Yeah. And that's something that they're going to have to be able to work with. They're going to have to be able to handle business if players are missing. And that's easier said than done, obviously. But specifically with Kornet, the comment is correct. Right now, with Kornet out, they're left with Bismack Biyombo, and that might be
that's it. I mean, that's well, but that's it though. Yeah, Bismack and maybe Sochan if he plays.
Right, and Kelly's great on offense, but he's not a rebounder, he's not a defender, and so obviously that was a huge concern last season, and that's why they addressed it to go get Luke, and so that unfortunately might be, it's one of those things where it's like, well, do they need a third center? But like, how many other teams have three really good centers? That doesn't happen, so they're just going to have to find a way to mitigate, not having Kornet specifically, but you also hope that he's able to stay healthy for most of the season. But I mean, it's just going to be adjustments and finding ways for players to impact the game in lieu of their teammate, and I think all of that is just kind of multiplied by the fact that they're starting out, like we talked about earlier, they're just learning how to play with one another. So I can imagine that that's going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, exactly. Devin Brown, Locked On Spurs teammate here. We asked him recently, you wore the uniform and you've been through that whole, Spurs are going to spur when it comes to injuries and holding players out longer than needed. And we asked him during the roundtable show if that was really true. Is that a true statement? He said, yes, it is, because it is a true statement that they do take care of their players. But he said there are signs that the Spurs give when a player is like on the verge of coming back. And Devin Brown, through his experience, he did flat out say, he goes, "Oh, Fox, it's inevitable. Maybe not Houston, but maybe it's the Pelicans game." And the signs are, you look for, if they're working him out pre-game, that's a huge sign he's about to come back. Usually they don't work him out that publicly until then. So he goes, when you see that from the Spurs, that tells you like it's imminent, like they're going to come back. So that's good to see, because we've seen Fox kind of warm up with not warm up with the team, but play a little bit ahead of the game on where the Froster are on the road, and he's traveling with the team too. So that's another good sign as well. So hopefully Fox gets back. He is Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Matt, tell us what you're working on over there in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, well, I guess I can push a story that went out on Friday about Harrison Ingram. I got a chance to talk to him and UNC coach Hubert Davis. So featuring them because the Austin Spurs are getting underway. And hopefully I'll have more coverage of Austin, once I'm back in town.
Are you still in Los Angeles?
Not yet. No, I came back, but I'm
You're back?
still
Okay.
for the time being.
Oh, okay, all right. How was LA? Was it nice?
It was great. It was super cool. I've been to crypto.com one time. I unfortunately never got to see Staples when it was Staples, but it was definitely a different experience seeing the tunnel and, the LA Lakers at San Antonio Spurs, the little video board they had. It was a great experience.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you had a good time. I'm glad you got to experience a road game with San Antonio. That is awesome. He is Matt Guzman with Spurs on Sports Illustrated. Follow him on X at MattGZMAN. Do that right now. Everybody else, thank y'all for making Locked On Spurs your first and only spot for all things San Antonio Spurs. As we mentioned, hey, we're number one. Locked On Podcast Network is now the number one sports podcast network. So congratulations to everybody here. And we thank y'all, especially for making that happen by coming here, for example, Locked On Spurs every day, checking out what we're talking about, the silver and black. And don't forget to subscribe as well. YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app. Do that right now. We'll be back tomorrow as the season rolls on, and hopefully a lot more W's and L's are on the way. Don't forget to check out Locked On NBA. Just go on to your YouTube and then search on YouTube Locked On NBA, hit subscription, and your subscribe, I should say, and then you're good to go. So for Matt Guzman, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.